La Lanterna, a spotlight in Italian football, is a podcast that dives into the beautiful game seen from the eyes of two fans from the oldest team in Italy's point of view. My name is Fabrizio Cardone, Canadian and Genovese, together with my friend Matt Killen, an American-born and Genoa fan. Every week, we'll tell you all you need to know about the only team you need to know about, Genoa CFC. Plus, we'll have guests and provide updates from around the magical world of Italian football. Welcome back to our La Lanterna podcast. Matt, how are you doing?
Fabry, doing well. Good to speak to you. I know we're nice sunny day here in New York today, which is pretty nice. How's it over in Toronto?
Same here in Toronto, nice and sunny. Finally, I don't know about you guys, but I guess we're not that far, even though you're a little bit more to the south compared to us. But This summer has been a little bit on the cool, not cold, but cool side. So you get these fresh end of summer temperatures for the evening. It was like, I don't know how to take this. It feels like cottage country, how we take it out here. How about you guys?
I love that. I love that type of weather personally. It's been today feels a little bit more like that for us too. We had a kind of a heat wave period the last week and a half where it was a little bit more humid, but then we had some rain come in and everything. So it's been a little bit more mild lately, but it definitely started late. I don't think until 2 or 3 weeks ago, we started to get anything that was like resembling hot. So
I know it's one of those summers, right?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to take those? I don't know. But anyway, so we had 1 week off. It was nothing really like last time we had the 1 week off week was because you were amazingly down meeting for the first time Genova, the Ferrari Stadium, and so on. So we had a lot to talk about that upon your return. This time around, perhaps because it's more on the summer type of tone. So what does that mean is news are, here and there, touch and miss, based on the fact that also thanks to our new ownership, management and whatnot, they're a little bit on the hush hush. So the news are like very tight.
Yeah.
And I'm finding, I don't know about you, but I'm finding, we said this throughout, but the news are mostly fake because they're invented as options, as possibilities from lots of journalists.
Yeah, there's not nearly as much going on. There's almost, I feel like there's a little bit of it starts to feel kind of like, are we doing a whole lot more? I think there's stuff happening, but it's like with the Ilsanker news, it sort of just happened and then it was official like within a couple of days. So it seems like it's just going to kind of come out of nowhere and surprise us a little bit. But that's a good thing.
Essentially, that's what happened also in January too, right? So at the very least, or at the most, actually, you heard the news like the 2 days before the signing because they were already in Genova. They were already there doing medical exams and whatnot. So essentially, if we have to look at what is official, like real official, just to recap for who hasn't really followed it or forgotten and whatnot, we have obviously the leader of the two goals scoring for Serie B for the past 2 years, which is Massimo Coda, coming from Lecce on a 2 or 3 year contract.
Maybe 3, yeah.
And then we have obviously the new goalkeeper, which is we're not sure. The assumption here is going to be our second goalie, as Zemper most likely will have the number 1 still, which is Josep Martinez coming from Red Bull Lipsia, which is a loan with the obligation to buy.
Yes.
And as the one that you mentioned before, Ilsanker coming from Frankfurt, Eintracht, or however you pronounce it. And that he was a free agent. So that was pretty good too. Sweet deal. These are the official. There's a whole bunch of news out there. There's a whole bunch of players that have been, but most of them are coming from these journalists. Very few, it was very cute, this post that I saw from a Genoa page on Instagram, and they were like outlining the levels of credibility among the different, I'll probably share it next time. I want to be careful who I can talk about and not. But essentially, they had a list of who is more credible, who's not. And who is on the credible side are very few, far in between. And so like right now, there's rumors for a done deal for Pajak, a return. He was at Brescia, but he's like the top assist man of Serie B from last year. Yep. So essentially, if that is true on the paper, it looks like the best man for our Massimo Coda.
Yeah.
What do you think about that one?
I mean, he was one of those players because we had him a season or two ago, right? Like he was in the first team in Serie A. I mean, it's a good thing because Brescia is a little bit weaker. He's got experience in the league. We have the top goal scorer for him to feed into. Maybe he is or isn't a Serie A player, but like we need players to get us up to Serie A right now. And I think worst case scenario, he does his job like he did last year. And I'm sure we would have a willing taker from whoever doesn't make it up, if not somebody in Serie A, if we don't want him. And I think he's still pretty young too, isn't he? He's like under 25 or so.
So no, it's a good potential, absolutely. I think I was reading an interview by someone, and they were saying that essentially that Pajak still has opportunity for growth, and he's still like in your young sort of growing talent or whatnot. So that's that. If it is all true, again, it's nothing is official,
right.
So I don't want to say that as a given done deal. So I was reading about the actual, roster and whatnot. If you remember a few weeks back, we talked about over 60, 70 players altogether among the current squad, one that for now Blessing has decided to keep, which still nothing is really set in place yet, but what the looks are right now are, and there's a lot of players that are also young ones, so we have never heard about them. So this is including them as well, but they've already placed 23 players out. So whether they were sold or given away on a loan, so Biraski, I think that's another semi-official that he's going to go straight loan again for 1 year in Turkey under Pirlo.
That's right.
No, so there's like 21 players that still need to be kind of placed somewhere, and 23 have gone. And I'll leave that to you, to the rolling of the drums. Finally, we got rid of
Caicedo. That's the big news.
My God, the comments on social media were
brutal.
Very, I don't know, how do you want to say that? I don't know. Very pleased. Let's say pleased for the fact that he was gone.
Yes. Yeah. This was a very classic Preziosi signing, I think. It was a name that you could kind of talk yourself into. I remember when he got signed last summer, and it was kind of one of those, it was a surprise. You're kind of shrugging your shoulders, but also like he had some good seasons. So like maybe it could work. I don't know. And of course, after like a couple of games, it's like we totally just bought a lemon, and then we're stuck with him. And then he goes back to Inter during the season. He's celebrating in the Coppa Italia, having not played a minute, like all this stuff. I mean, whatever, I guess it's in his right to celebrate getting a trophy or whatever. But he sued the club too, didn't he? He wanted to have the renewal. What was the whole deal behind that?
So the details, we were talking about that briefly just before we went online, but essentially the details, we don't know clearly how it was the fact of this right or whatnot of renewal of his contract after last year. So I knew it was something about 3 years in total, so up until 2024. So essentially something to the fact of him wanting to continue, obviously for his goddamn sort of, excuse my language, desires for the contract was like a nice 2.5 million a year in pocket. But essentially he went to an arbitrate in order to say, I wanted to get the exercises right. Genoa, with their lawyers and whatnot, have found some issues on this, on the practice of what happened and whatnot. We don't know the great details, but it was something about the fact of something was done incorrectly. And so the arbitrate essentially said, no, sorry, Felipe Caicedo, you cannot, and Genoa is right, and this is done.
Yeah, and it's over, and we're free. So I think that was one of the ones, if you're going to ask anybody, hey, we need to trim down our squad, where do we start? I don't think there's a single person saying we must keep Caicedo. And also, I mean, who knows about the locker room stuff? I don't want to speculate, but it's a player that I would imagine if he's not getting his minutes, especially if he's still around in Serie B and collecting some ridiculous wage or something, it couldn't have been good for any party. So there's an obvious desire to move on by 777. I think probably even before this window. Obviously, of course, before this window, because they had him go back to Inter in January. So you know what? I'm sure he'll find a landing place somewhere else. I think we're happy that it's probably not with us. Well, it's not with us, and we move. So
absolutely. Like I was reading about how it works with the tax burden in Italy is about 50%. So essentially, from the books of Genoa, that's 5 million a year off our books. So that's huge.
That's enormous.
Exactly. And next one coming up, it's still not official, but it seems like really ready to go, is Maksimovic to Lecce. I'm a little bit iffy on the details because apparently, again, this is still rumors, so we don't know any details yet, but they're talking about Lecce taking over 1/3 of his pay, and Genoa covering 2/3. So I'm not too fuss about that. Perhaps is that an investment? Not an investment. How do you say? Like an approach for the fact of keeping him away from the locker room, because apparently he was one of the issues that we had in the locker room.
Yeah,
or an issue, anyways, and that's why also one of the reasons why he was taken off the squad. When he was still doing well before the winter break, if you remember.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this player, this whole thing was also absolutely nuts. I mean, this is a player that, like, without any sort of context, looking into anything, it wouldn't maybe have looked like a bad signing, but he just was horrible for us for a lot of the time that he was around. And I mean, I'm obviously, of course, like, if the club is willing to take on the full salary, that's ideal. But what's the alternative? He stays in the club, and let's say he's playing, maybe he's not, but if we're paying that wage, we're still on the hook for that whole thing. I'm not sure if Lecce if there was also like a sign-on fee too that we would get, so we can recoup some of that also by just taking the money we're getting from the sale. I don't know exactly how the thing is structured, but I think it's a reasonable. These things happen sometimes. You have to still eat some of the player salary. It's kind of silly. I mean, we're still paying off Shevchenko, aren't we, for like another?
Oh yeah, another year.
So
at least another year.
Sometimes you have to bite that, and it sucks. But I don't think that you would. The ends are worth it in the end. Especially, it seems like we're going to have decent sort of options in that position, so we're not going to really need to maybe outlay too much else.
I mean, a lot of fans now. It's funny that you brought up Shevchenko, like him. Like before that was Maran, and
right
before, and as well also Ballardini himself, but nobody obviously is going to comment, rightfully so, against Ballardini. But
yes,
like him, like players as well. Players is a little bit different. It's for coaches is a little bit easier to find them sitting at home waiting for their contract to end and then go to another team and whatnot. But we still have to. I'm halfway there. That's why I always call myself like a mild fan, like in a sense, like I'm not like you're super duper all against everybody that is touching my team. I'm able to go think outside the box and see, like, if I was on the other side and what is the right thing to happen, or what is correct and what is not correct, essentially.
Yeah.
So can you really blame Maran and or Ballardini for sitting on that on their paycheck while doing nothing? What are you going to do if no one in a way is really looking for you? What are you going to do? Shevchenko, it just hurts because of the amount of money.
It's a lot of money, and it was also not even a full season. I mean, at least with Ballardini, we stayed up because of him, and his efforts were. I mean, you may be referring to also the previous Ballardini contract, because there were so many that were cut short. I think all of them maybe might have been. But it's an extra special one because we got like 3 months out of him, and then we're going to be eating that payment for at least another calendar year. So
not 9 games, right? And I don't know if it's 9 games with with the Coppa Italia or 9 games in the season.
I think they're 9 Serie A games, with Coppa Italia games mixed in.
I mean, now, God forbid, like his situation of his own country, Ukraine and so on, like you don't wish that upon anyone.
Well, of course not.
I mean, everybody's saying, well, he's now doing some sort of like beneficiary type of work and going out there helping and whatnot on Genoa's expenses. But, like those type of comments that just like don't really mean anything.
I mean, look, put yourself in the same situation. If you're walking and getting paid, you're really going to return the money back to a club that just fired you? Like, absolutely not. If we got fired from our jobs and they said, hey, we're going to keep paying your salary for the next 6 months, someone's going to say, oh,
okay,
I'm an honorable person, I'm going to just return you the money back. Like, no, you're in the right to keep it. That's within the contract.
Exactly.
The agreement that was made. This is what happened. And,
absolutely.
We were unfortunate in how it didn't work out for us. And I think it's strange to have ill will for a person like Shevchenko. Like, I know it's not really like a Genoano. He's not really naturally part of the group. He's not as much like a person like a Ballardini that had been around the club before. And obviously is most famous with his time with Milan. But I don't know. He didn't work out. It was not a success. By all accounts, he did everything that he could. It was a failure. We move on from it. I'm
exactly
with this too. It's like, no, there's no ill will, I don't think, or should be, towards him. But
no, absolutely. And if he's a better coach for a national team rather than a club team, then fine. The rumors were that Poland was still looking for him. Are they still interested or not? I'm sure there will be other nations that are still going to be looking up towards him anyway. So, I mean, it sucks, I know, but we have one more year that has to go that way.
Yeah.
Now, so going back to the market itself, these are just like, I can give you like a whole bunch of names that have been put close to Genoa, but there's no point, I think, at this point in time. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be names that are just going to come and go and maybe not mean anything, or they might become, reality. Yeah. It's hard to tell. So we'll just play along once news come a little bit more obvious, more right, and more true and real.
Yep.
Let's talk about, again, some real facts. So we know 18th to 28th, Genoa is going in retirement up in Austria. I heard our friend Stefan from Mainz in Germany. He said he's not going to be able to go this year. He decided to go to the seaside. So unfortunately, we're not going to have an insider to give us the scoop. So that's too bad. But nevertheless, it's going to be there. Within those days, I think we're going to have 2 official friendlies. We already talked about them. One is going to be against the Spaniard team, which I can't now recall off the top of my head, and against Lazio soon after that. And then finally, the season for Genoa 2022-23 will officially start August 8th, 2022, against Benevento for the first round, which is the 6th round of 32, I think it is called.
Yep.
For Coppa Italia. So do you remember if it's going to be in Genoa or in Benevento?
I don't recall off the top of my head. And by the way, for anybody listening, the first match it's Mallorca, I guess is the Spanish.
Mallorca. Thank you.
That's on the 22nd of July. But yeah, I can't recall. I don't know if the home and away. Hold on, let me just see.
It should be Genoa home by rules of engagement with respect to the fact of being a Serie A team. It should be, but
Yeah, unclear. But I'm excited for. That'll be our first official match. So
it will
kind of an interesting one against one of our opponents in Serie B as well.
So we're 1 month away, more or less. Anyways, so that's exciting.
You're right. It will be home. It will be at the Ferraris.
Okay, excellent.
So it'll be a home match. Less than a month. I know. I mean, this summer has this is the worst part. And sometimes we have like tournament football that kind of alleviates. We would have had the World Cup right now.
I know, right?
Stuff was going on.
That's so bizarre,
isn't it? I mean, that we could talk for an hour or two about all the craziness going on with that too. Like, I feel like they're outlawing a new thing every day. I don't know how anybody's going to make it back after that tournament with all the stuff that's been.
It's going to be interesting. I'm sure there's going to be complaints. I'm sure there's going to be injuries. I'm sure there's going to be clubs that are going to be complaining about it because of loss of players. They can't deny them to their football. But that's something also The back and forth, I don't know if it was again another stunt from the journalist, but essentially the official dates also for Serie B have come out. The actual calendar is due in 5 days.
Yep.
So in 5 days, next episode, we'll be able to talk about the calendar, but we do have the dates of when is going to happen what. So that rumor about FIFA going to Serie B, I don't know how much that was true or not, but it's official now. Serie B will not be stopping during the World Cup. So this is exciting and sad at the same time. I don't know what you think about that, but
I've told you a little bit before. I kind of really like it. I'm a more football is better person.
So what happens when there are two games at the same time? So Genoa and the United States at the same time.
If that happens, then we have a problem. But you know what? I've got two devices, so here we go. So we got the TV and we got a phone or a TV and a laptop or something, and just have
That's
to
true.
Split it.
No, I'm with you. Like I'm all for like throw me at anything. You know, like I understand those fans that always tell me, "Oh, I hate the modern football. I like it how it was before, where we were playing only at 3 p.m. on Sundays, all the team at the same time." You know, that was the past. It was incredible back then. Nowadays, I'm all pro. And I know a lot of Italians, whoever's listening to us, is going to be a little bit cringy on this topic, but
yeah,
I love the fact of having all the teams to the games at different hours of the day, of different days of the week as well, because it just gives you the opportunity to watch them all.
You got a much better shot. I understand, and I'm very much against the weekday game schedule. I'm all about that. I think anything during the weekdays is nuts. And we've been on the wrong side of that. I think maybe we talked in another episode about some of the derby games that have been on like Wednesdays and like Fridays, and especially for us, it's hard, but also for folks in Genoa because the game times usually are pretty early in the evening too. So that maybe less so. But if you're telling me I can plan out my Saturday and Sunday and watch football all day, I will happily do that.
Well, mind you, for us it's a little bit different too. In Italy, the Fridays and the Mondays, besides the fact of the derby, which was like a little bit different, but if whoever's at home and that was specifically, you're right, it was at 6 p.m. local time. Yep. So if it would have been like at 9, at 8, and so on, would be okay. Reminds you that for us being Eastern Standard Time, so New York, Toronto time, that means 6 hours behind. So that means at 3 p.m., full working hours if it's during the week, etc. But you know, it's still interesting to have more games possible. Anyways, so going back to Serie B, the first match week is going to be starting on the weekend of August 12th. So that means the week after, I'm guessing, of Genoa Benevento for the Coppa Italia. Then we're going to have 2 midweek matches, which is going to be the December 8th and December 8th and February 28th. There's going to be 3 breaks throughout the season. So that's for the national team breaks. So it's going to coincide for both Serie B and Serie A. So it's going to be on the weekend of September 25th, November 20th, and March 26th. The Serie B winter break, I'm not going to comment on that because you know how I feel about it. But anyways, it's going to the last one is going to be on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
December 26th, 27 is going to be the last. Then the break is going to start from there all the way to January 13th. And the last match day of the season will be on May 19th.
Yeah. So
I mean, these are official now.
Generally a pretty normal season. We're not going to have the interruption of the World Cup at all. And then the season calendar window, I mean, if you compare it to Serie A last year, it's going to be about the same. Actually, I do think, wasn't there something in the schedule that quantity of midweek games in Serie B is lower than it is in Serie A, or at least lower than it was what we were used to last year?
Correct. Yeah. I think we had like at least 3 or 4. Well, this year's going to be 2.
Yeah. So,
but now it all depends also on our nationals too. Now I was thinking about that. I don't know if we do have any, but I know that we have a few.
We have a few.
So we will.
One of them.
We will have to. Yeah, exactly. We'll have we had Ostegard too, but he's not in our roster, at least for now.
Yeah.
Badel, I don't know if he's going to be called up or not. Probably not. You know, but we're going to be losing a few then under that. So the dates, I think, were something I can't remember that off the top of my head, but sometime in November, all the way through December, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be tough. I mean, that's something that I think the management has to take in consideration as well, being that we don't have these breaks.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it does inform a little bit our transfer policy too when you think about who we're going to target the rest of this time. I'm not sure there's too many players that we're linked with that are in that maybe international category at the moment. Ilsanker is a little bit older in his international career too, so it's slightly unclear if he'll go up. I think he's an Austrian, right? If we'll go up with them or not. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm glad we're finally about to get here. I'm really looking forward to the 15th because we can start to see actually who we're playing and what the schedule's
I know.
That part's always fun.
So there's two players that we forgot to mention. It was the deal of Cambiaso.
Yep.
So it's still nothing is official. It's sort of unofficial.
Yeah.
So it seems he's going to be joining Juventus, perhaps going to be sent out on loan. We don't know. There were these rumors. I'm going to think it's rumors. I'm not too sure. The player just came out saying it's not Genoa is not Real Madrid. I have really high doubts that a player would say that out loud.
Yeah,
and then retract and then come back.
It is a weird. I mean, of course, is it a factual truth? Yeah, but like, why would you even need to make that statement? Like, I don't understand. There were some rumors, I think, of him going to Salernitana or something, which I wasn't like very excited about, but I guess I could understand why that would have happened. And obviously, if he's not our player anymore, it's kind of out of our control. But the part of that I guess got it over the line, because this has been like probably a few weeks now where it seemed like actually Juve kind of took over where Inter were before, and as the pole position to kind of get Cambiaso. But the two kind of deals, if I recall correctly, one was just kind of a straight, I think it was €5 million cash, or another was 3 or 3.5 million plus Dragusin, this Romanian defender, going back our way. It seemed kind of like having Dragusin come back our way was preferable, but I guess what had held us up this whole time is Dragusin. Is it official? 7 million.
No. So 7 million for Cambiaso alone, or right. 3.5 plus the price tag of Dragusin.
That's right, 7 million. But I guess Dragusin didn't want to join us until just now. I think sometime this week he agreed. Allegedly, yes. There's nothing that's actually come through yet. I don't know. I actually don't like the fact that this guy dug his heels so long to come into the side. Like, that already doesn't sound great. Especially for like a young player that needs playing time. I mean, maybe there are reasons for it that are not personal. I think as a fan, like the first thing when a player's like not excited to join the club is like, okay, well, we don't need you then.
That was the first comment. Yeah.
So, but it sounds like that has been reversed, and there were some rumors of a medical also with Cambiaso. So maybe this is something that by next week, well, actually by the time this pod comes out, maybe it'll be an official piece of news. But I would rather have a player come back our way with the fee too. I think we're going to need the depth. I don't know very much about Dragusin. I know he appeared a tiny bit for Juve. Obviously, he was on Sampdoria's books for a little bit as well. But yeah, it seems like that deal finally is probably going through.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And I guess there's one more piece of news. I'll leave that to you to open it up.
Yeah, the season ticket sales have kind of continued steam, which is kind of amazing. So we're over 10,000 sales so far, and this is before actually going out to the general public, right? So I think there was a goal, if I'm not mistaken, of 13,000. They've already had 10, which is, I think, a pretty significant number, and it seems like every handful of days there are 500 plus more that keep signing up, which is great. So,
I did not hear about that 13.
I don't know where I read that somewhere, but I think there was a target there, but they're expecting it to be surpassed. I can't remember if the 13 was before opening it to the public, if it was like the total number they wanted to sell, like all in. I kind of think it may be more the latter, because the velocity is not really that big, right? Like if you get 13,000 sold, that's a pretty good portion of their allocation already, because you have to have some for away teams and everything too, and also you want to leave some for the general public and all that stuff for individual game purchases. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's another good showing. It seems like we're going to have a fun atmosphere as always at the Ferraris next season. So
I've been hearing a whole bunch of different areas from different teams in Serie B, and they're all excited and scared at the same time because, especially if you have the season passes, season tickets at 13, 10, for whatever that reason is, just the fact of entering the temple of the Ferraris for them being so used to, smaller stadiums and whatnot. But it's just very overwhelming and in a positive way, like, very intimidating. Let's put it that way. It's like when you go to San Siro, it's almost like intimidating because of the size of those stadiums, or the Olimpico in Roma. But and the fact that it's now with the season tickets at 10, 12, whatever that's going to end up happening, it's just going to be super incredible, the welcoming of all the other teams from Serie B.
Yeah, it's interesting. Is there fear, do you think, of the fans at all, or is it more just the intimidation of the atmosphere and the size and all of that stuff?
I would say the latter. Genoa fans are not known to be dangerous like other fans that you hear from around Italy, but no, absolutely, they're not known. Not even the reputation, but they're absolutely not known to be fearful, to be afraid of. But no, absolutely the latter. So absolutely, for the fact of the amount of fans, the amount of the rumble that you've been in it, right? So what that Gradinata d'Art can give also against, a team that has arrived as a guest.
I think it's going to be good. We're going to have some pretty good Gradinata performances this season.
Absolutely. So. And talking about season tickets, I'll leave the onus and the honor actually to you about this initiative.
Yeah, that's a great segue. So, Grande Cuore Così is a foundation that I think many of our listeners may be familiar with, but basically they help fans who've always wanted to go to a match, or maybe don't have the means to go to a match. They can access it much more easily. And so they've got a website, which is just kind of grandecuorecosì.it, where I think actually they may be having some auctions today. Usually they get some like Genoa merch or something, and you can bid on like a shirt or a hat or something, and it goes towards it. Also, some of our friends within the Genoa clubs across the world, I think they've all kind of pooled together. Donations are going to the Genoa Club UK. So Genoa Club UK, just all one word, on PayPal. And you can kind of just submit whichever donation you want. And again, it just helps people who either aren't able to go to a game for whatever reason. They can kind of get that experience. They can actually be part of the Granata if they want to. They can go to the tribuna, wherever they sit. But it's a pretty cool thing, and it helps kind of further that connection with fans. So it's cool also to see. I know Genoa Club Toronto or Canada has been doing donations there. In New York, we've kind of been making campaigns too. So and I know also Miami, other places, I've seen pretty much all of the fan pages kind of post about it. So pretty cool stuff.
No, exactly. It's a great initiative. It's a private nonprofit type of organization. In Italian, it's called Onlus, which is just a type of organization itself. So Un Grande Cuore Così is an initiative that has been going on that I can think of, like, at least for the last 20 years. And I'm sorry for the team, for the group, that I'm not able to cite their exact foundation date, but has been going on for a while. It's a summer event, as you said, with auctions going on, with soccer players' kits and whatnot, and initiatives like these ones, which are just great. And every year they are able to gather so much funds, so much money, essentially, for a great cause. So I'll shout out to this initiative. It's a summer initiative, and whomever feels to, even a penny makes a huge difference for whoever's in need.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Okay, so super surprise. We're going into our break, and we're going to have our second guest from Europe, and stay tuned.
My name is Fabrizio Cardone, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to our podcast with our super special guest. I've known him for a long time, but I'm finally meeting him in person. I'll leave him to the introductions, but we have a special guest directly from Europe, and that's why we're recording in morning time at 11 a.m. for us, and it's 5 p.m. for him. Directly from Amsterdam, we have Hans. Hey, welcome to our podcast, Hans.
Welcome, Hans.
Thank you very much, Fabrizio and Matt. Very nice to be in the podcast.
It's awesome and amazing to have you as our special guest. Tell us a little bit more about your history. Who are you? Like, meaning the accent obviously gives away that you're not Italian. And I'm not saying that, of course, in a bad way. So you are a Genoa fan, right?
Yes. Well, I was born as an Ajax fan. I'm from Holland. I was born and raised 25 kilometers from Amsterdam. My father was completely crazy about football, and he took me to Amsterdam to the Ajax matches. And well, since I was a kid, Ajax was the only thing in life for me. And also, the other thing was playing football myself. So after school, I ran home and immediately wanted to play football. And well, it took till I was 14, 15 before I get interested in school. So at the primary school, I was good because you don't have to do anything at home. It's only at school, so that was good. But when I came on the high school, then you also had to do some homework, but I never did. I only played football.
It's football and Ajax.
Yes. So and well, on a day I went with Ajax to a European match, away match, and that was against Genoa.
Wow.
And I knew Genoa because of the matches against Liverpool.
Yes.
Right.
Why? Because I think it was 5 years before was the Heysel disaster.
Right.
When the Juventus fans were killed in Brussels, which is close to Holland, of course.
Yeah.
So it was all over the news for weeks in Holland.
I remember the stands falling down was just horrible.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was really, really horrible. And and Liverpool was qualified for European football for some years, but the first time they play again in Italy was against Genoa, and everybody was very nervous about the match because it would be a complete war between the Italian fans and the English fans.
English fans, yeah.
But that wasn't true. The Genoa fans just clapped their hands for the Liverpool fans, which everybody was completely surprised all over Europe that happened. So it wasn't a war, and I saw that on TV. So I thought, well, that's fantastic. Everybody expecting a war between fans, and nothing happened. And the match in Liverpool even was more special. I think Liverpool and Genoa fans really became friends with each other. So I read about that in the newspaper. I saw it on TV because it was big news also here in Holland. And then in the next round, because Genoa beat Liverpool, as we all know, and then in the next round, Genoa had to play against Ajax, so my team. So I thought, well, I want to be there. So I went with the Ajax fans in a coach. We went to Genova. And I expected a warm but very passionate fans and very colorful because that's what I saw in a match against Liverpool. And well, it was true. It was very, very colorful. A lot of noise in everybody singing for 90 minutes. It was really fantastic. And to be honest, it was my wife who first had the passion for Genoa because Ajax was 2-0 ahead.
Yeah.
And then Aguilera scored 2 times, and the stadium was so hysteric. It was it took pain on your ears, the sound of the Gradinata. And we were standing in Gradinata Sud, and then at the bottom, just behind the goal. So the stadium was all over you, everywhere, on top, besides, everywhere were the fans. So it was really amazing. But my wife said, well, I hope it stays a draw because then we can leave this stadium alive. Because we was scared if Ajax would win, we wouldn't survive this. And if Genoa would win, well, okay, we were Ajax supporters all going to Italy, so you don't want to go home with a defeat, of course.
Yes.
So she said, well, I hope it will be a draw, but I was, of course, still Ajax fan. So I thought, no, we have to win. And then Ajax did win, as you know, in the last minute. And of course, we were happy, of course. But then we expected problems from the Italian fans, but there didn't came any problems. A lot of fans clapped their hands because it was a fantastic match for everybody. 3-2 is not a result you see a lot in important European football matches.
Yeah.
Mostly it's 1-0 or 1-1 draw, but never 3-2. It's not that often that happens. So nothing happened, and we changed scarves with the Genoa fans. So it was a very nice atmosphere. And then we go out the stadium, and there were about 100 Sampdoria fans thanking us for beating Genoa. And they wanted to change the scarves, but we didn't do that. No one did, because most of us already did change the scarf with the Genoa scarf, and Sampdoria don't want to have the Genoa scarf, of course.
Yeah.
But also we thought it was such a nice atmosphere, such a great spectacle. So why should we be friends with the other team of the city? So we didn't have anything with them. So after a few minutes they left because there was nothing to do for them. Well, then 2 weeks later, Genoa came to Amsterdam, of course, and the atmosphere in the city was so friendly. It were all families going by boat through the canals, and it was no problems with fans, no police, nothing. Well, and then I thought, well, this is really what football is about. Very passionate, but also friendly, and families, and not only black with black shirts and pullovers, young guys between 20 and 40 drinking beer, fighting, everything. No, just families with children, with grandfathers, grandmothers, and only fun. For me, it was really fantastic, because with Ajax, I've been in a lot of trouble because of the Ajax fans.
Yeah.
As you probably know, Ajax is from the past a Jewish club.
Mm-hmm.
So the fans take the flag of Israel to every match.
Oh, wow.
But if you play in Germany and you come with a lot of Israeli flags, you get a fight. It will always happen, because you are also trying to have a fight. Well, not me, because I'm absolutely no violent.
Yeah.
But other Ajax fans wanted to fight. So every match there are problems, and that's what I hate so much. For me, Ajax is a fantastic club. It's one of the best of Europe. So if I really want to go for the best football, I wouldn't be a Genoa supporter like I am now, because in my hometown, the football is better, of course.
Of course.
But the fans of Genoa are 1,000% better than the fans of Ajax.
That's amazing.
That's why I love Genoa. So, it was a draw in Amsterdam, the match, and Ajax went to the final, and then we play against Torino.
Correct.
And I have read in the newspapers that Torino and Genoa were friendly friends, Gemelaccio between the fans. So I thought, well, in Torino we will have the same. It will be a party again. No, it wasn't. It was a big bomb in our stand with 35 people wounded. Some had to go to the hospital. So it was absolutely no friendly match.
Wow.
And in Amsterdam for the return, because the Coppa UEFA had in the final also an andata and a ritorno.
So 2 legs, yeah.
Yeah. So 2 legs. Sometimes I think Italian.
It's okay. I'm with you. Same thing for me.
It's not normal for a Dutch guy, but if I'm talking about football, sometimes I use Italian words. But the fans of Torino immediately had to go from the airport to the stadium. They were not allowed to go in city center.
Of course.
There was all the fun with the Genoa fans, in the canals or with the boats. It was fantastic. But Torino fans didn't have the opportunity to go to the city center because it was too dangerous. And
especially after the first leg, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so Genoa and Torino were friends. Well, now not anymore, but that time. But Torino and Ajax were no friends, no.
Right.
Absolutely not. Well, then I saw, I started to follow Genoa, because here in Holland, everybody supported AC Milan.
Yeah.
Why? Because there were the 3 Dutch guys, Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, Frank Rijkaard.
The fantastic trio. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic trio. So everybody in Holland, and especially in Amsterdam, because these guys are from Amsterdam,
Right.
everybody supported AC Milan. But for me, it was too easy, because Ajax already is a big club. Why should I support another big club? On the other hand, these players are ours, and they went to Milan. Well, they are our players, not the Milan players.
Right.
The same feeling I now have with Rovella and Cambiaso. They are our players. They are not Juventini. No.
That's right.
I had the same. So I think, but I like the Italian football, especially because what I saw in Marassi, in Genova, and the Genoa fans in Holland. So and in that time in Europe, Italian football was number one. Like Premier League is now. In end of the 80s and in the 90s, Italian football was number one in the world, I think. So I already had knowledge of Genoa and the fans, and then Johnny van Schip, the captain of Ajax, he went to Genoa.
That's right.
So 1 and 1 is 2. So fantastic atmosphere, nice fans, good match against Ajax, no problems. Captain of Ajax playing with Genoa, I follow Genoa.
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Everybody in Amsterdam was fan of Milan, but I supported Genoa. And there were some other Ajax fans who did the same. All the Ajax fans who went to Marassi still have a special feeling for Genoa. Not as much as me, but they think
sympathize.
Yes, sympathize. Yes, that's the correct word. Well, then Ajax was growing better and better, and then they beat Milan in the final. But I wanted to hang. I was in the stadium in Vienna, and I wanted to put a Genoa flag in the stands, but it was forbidden.
Oh,
because already was the Spaniolo disaster.
Oh, okay.
Spaniolo that was killed by Milan fans. That happened that same year in January, and in May was the final in Vienna. So, and the atmosphere between Milan and Ajax fans was good because they had the 3 Dutch guys from Amsterdam, so no problems.
Yep.
Which is always nice for such a big match, that everybody can go without any problems. So I decided not to put on the flag. I don't want to make problems. And if you are at the final in Vienna, which is I think 800 kilometers from Amsterdam, then you also want to see the final and not be put out of the stadium because you want to have a flag.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I had the flag, but I didn't put it on. On the other hand, it was a match between Ajax and Milan and not a match with Genoa. So okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
But on that time, Ajax was top because they beat Milan in the final. But 2 weeks later, there was the match between Genoa and Padova for not relegation to Serie B. So in 2 weeks, I was seeing live the final of Europe, the Champions League final of Ajax, my home team, and I saw Genoa against Padova in Firenze in the rain with only 25,000 supporters, but 23,000 of Genoa and only 2,000 of Padova.
Unbelievable.
That's pretty crazy.
Yes, and I read later and I heard that some Genoa fans died in front of TV of the passion and Genoa lost with penalties. Well, Ajax hardly never loses a big match. If it's a big match, they win 95%.
Almost always, yeah.
But with Genoa, it's the opposite. I now know, but then I didn't know. But I was so fantastic that so many Genoa fans in the rain go there and against Padova, which was nothing by fans. Also, the football of Padova was nothing, but Genoa lost. And I remember some other fans who say, Genoa is a nice team, but see, now they have an important match and they lose. But for me, the passion became more because of losing. I think if you lose a lot, then you start to love your club more than with winning. A lot of young kids support teams only because they win a lot. They are fans of Juventus because they were 9 times after each other champions. But that's so easy for me. And for me, my hometown team, Ajax, already is on top. So I don't need success to support something. No, I want real feeling, real passion. And that I found with Genoa. So I was not happy that I lost, of course not, but well, the passion and the feeling for me became bigger through that match. So I started to follow them more and more. And then 3 years later, I was on holiday in Finale Ligure, and I bought the Gazzetta dello Sport, but I couldn't read one single word Italian, only looking pictures.
Yeah.
But well, you can see the program of the matches. Yeah, you don't need to know the language to
Sure.
see what's the program. And then I saw Genoa Padova, on the last match in Serie B in 1998. And it was the last match of Bortolacci,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
the one who played also against Ajax. And Ruotolo and Torrento were still with Genoa. So I thought, well, I go to the match. I put on my Ajax shirt and went to Marassi. And then I came there and I could enter without paying. They
Really?
say you're an Ajax fan, and well, I couldn't speak Italian, so I answered in English. And I thought, well, he's really Dutch, and he's an Ajax fan, and he's coming to this match, the last match of the season. Only 7,000 people in Marassi, so it was empty.
Yeah.
And then coming to the match, so I didn't have to pay. Well, for me it was crazy. Why you don't have to pay? But well, then at the end of the match, I didn't know in Italy it's common to the players, they give the shirt and the socks and the things they give to the fans after the last match of the season. Well, this also happened, but with Genoa was one player from Ajax from the past, Eli Luhanapesi. And he was in the field. So, and I was in Distinti. And so the players go to the dressing room at the Distinti. So I walked through the place where the players go inside and screaming to Eli Luhanapesi in Dutch. So he understands me. And he saw my Ajax shirt. So he thought, well, he must be Dutch, asking for his shirt. And he said, well, as you can see, I have nothing, because he was only wearing
underwear.
Underwear. That was the only thing he was wearing. Even his shoes were gone. He didn't have his shoes anymore. So he said, well, I don't have, but if you come to the dressing room, then I'll give you my away shirt of Genoa. I said, well, fantastic, but how do I come there? Because, yeah, I was an Ajax fan. It was impossible to reach the dressing room. Impossible. Yeah. He said, well, go behind in the street, and there in the middle, there you can enter the stadium. That's where the coach goes in, and there's a man with a mustache, and ask him and say to him that I give you permission to come to the dressing room. Well, I went there, and indeed there was a man with a mustache, and I, in my best English, and he didn't speak any English, but at the end he understands. Also, other people helping, that he had to let me through to go to the dressing room. Well, I realized it, and then I got the shirt of Eli Luhanapesi, and then I thought, well, this is so fantastic. It is. These people were very friendly against Ajax, while they lost their most important match in history. Semi-final of Copa UEFA, losing at home. Well, it hurts. It really hurts. And then you're so friendly. Then I come back. I can enter for free only because I'm wearing the shirt of another team that beat you. It's also not normal. Then I go there. I get the shirt of a player. I can reach the dressing room. This is not normal. So 2 days later, I went again from Finale Ligure to Genova, to the sede of Genoa in Via Roma.
Right. Back then was in Via Roma, right?
Mm-hmm. Asking if I could start a fan club of Genoa in Holland. But nobody spoke any English. So I had to wait. And then after, I think 45 minutes, Mr. Blondet came. The vice president now, the old Mr. Blondet. But he also don't speak English, but with his hands and we understand. And he said, well, it's okay that you start a fan club in Holland because we don't have one. But do you also want to do it for Belgium? Because in Belgium, a lot of Italians live. In Belgium, you have the mines, digging in the mines, and a lot of Italians went there in the 50s and the 60s to work there.
Right.
And so they wanted a Genoa fan club in Belgium, but there wasn't. So I said, okay, if I do Holland, I can also do Belgium. No problem. The only thing, I don't want to name it Genoa Club Holland or Genoa Club Belgium. I want to name it because Genoa Club Amsterdam. Why? Because it all became, for me, as a supporter of Ajax Amsterdam, and because of the friendship between Genoa and Amsterdam, the city. He said, well, it's okay. And he gave me a videotape with the history of Genoa.
Beautiful.
The video is all in black and white because everything is old.
Of course.
There wasn't color film at that time. And I studied the film, and it's fantastic. It's a lot of photos behind each other. It's not even a movie, only at the end some things, but very nice. And that's how it started. So that was 1998. My wife was pregnant at that time. But I thought, well, now we are an official fan club. I went to the last match of the season with Bortolacci. So I thought, well, I have to see the first match of the next season. So in September 1998, I go again to Genoa. And I sent them a fax. Well, young listeners don't know what a fax machine is about.
That's right. That's right.
It was it was the most modern way of
communication. Yes, there was no email, nothing. So fax was one of the ways.
No internet, no email, nothing. So I sent a fax that I would come, and I got a fax back, and they say, well, if you come, we have to meet in Pontetto, Genoa Club Pontetto, which is just outside Gradinata North.
Yes.
And then you have free tickets. So I was surprised. I thought, well, free tickets again. I never have to pay in Genoa. So I went there in Genoa Club Pontetto with my wife, with the baby inside. So we were, everybody was surprised. What are you doing here? You're pregnant, going to a football match? Yes, my man is completely crazy about Genoa. We have the best team of Europe in our hometown, but he is crazy of Genoa. Okay. And then Dino Storace, the press manager of Genoa, he just worked with Genoa. Yeah, he just worked with Genoa because when I was there in the Sede when I spoke to Mr. Blondet, Dino wasn't there. He arrived that summer with Genoa, and I was his first international guest coming from outside Italy. So he was in dress with a tie and expecting a very important person coming from Holland, the president of the fan club of Holland. But it was just me, of course. I already bought a Genoa shirt, so I came in a Genoa shirt. Well, now I'm gray and a little bald, but then I had black hair, so I could be any Italian person, normal Italian-looking person. So, well, but he was so friendly, and he spoke English, which for me was very
impressive.
Yes, yes. So he gave me the tickets, and I was sitting in a tribuna, which I didn't like because that's not the real way of going to the stadium. I want to be in the Gradinata or in Distinti, between the normal people who really are passionate, and not between the men with the ties and things. But it was for free. We had very good places. But Genoa already had two other Dutch players, Kevin van Dessel and Milan Berg-Belenkamp, but they both were not in the team. They were sitting in Tribuna also. So I go to sit with them, and we talked about Amsterdam, about Holland.
Of course.
and seeing the match. So again, it was a very special match. And then, well, since that time, I already saw Genoa playing 70 matches in 19 years. So an average of 3.5 matches every season. While Genoa from here is 1,250 kilometers. Well, the beginning years, we always did it by car. We went there on Saturday morning very early. We go by car all together, 4, 5, 6 people.
So like 10 hours?
One car. Yeah, it's about 12 hours.
Yeah.
1,250 kilometers, but you have the Gotthard tunnel, which gives some delay.
Yeah.
So
that's what up in Val d'Aosta, is that right? Or is it in Piemonte? Gottardo.
Gotthard, no, it's in Switzerland.
But the Italian side.
It's the big tunnel in Switzerland. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it goes into Italy, so I guess in Val d'Aosta.
It goes in Italy by Chiasso, near Como.
Okay. Yeah.
You go in Italy. So in 12 hours you can be there. So we arrived always in Saturday evening. Then on Sunday was the match. And then on Monday we go back again 12 hours in the car. So 3 days of football. Finally, it was 2 days in the car and 1 day of football.
Yes.
But it was fantastic. And yeah, these were Serie B times, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got more and more friends. And Luca Carini and Eugenio Segalerba, they are really close friends to me, besides Dino Storace. But especially with Luca, after 3 or 4 matches, we didn't sleep anymore in a hotel. We could always sleep in his house, which meant we could go more often because we had lower costs to come there.
Of course.
It only was the petrol and the ticket for the match, and that's it. So and we could go more after.
Just again, for those days, we didn't have Ryanair, so we didn't have like low cost planes, anything. So it was like expensive to fly. So that's why he was going by car.
Yeah. So we did for, I think, 8-9 years, and then the low cost, the EasyJet started to fly to Genoa from Amsterdam, and then it was more easy to go. Or we went to Malpensa and then hire a car and go from Malpensa to Genoa.
Right.
Yeah. Which is
and then it was more easy to go. But in the first years, not. And well, internet was just coming up, but very little. But Genoa was in Serie B, so there was no much news. I followed it mostly on Televideo.
Oh yeah, okay. So Televideo, for who doesn't know, and for Matt too.
Yeah,
it was this. I don't know. Nothing like that is here in North America. It's essentially something that goes along the television. So it's like I don't know how to call it. It's like an internet through the television. It's not interactive. It's only news that is fed from the television, from the channel over for viewers. Mm-hmm. And it gives you news. It gives you, I don't know, the programs for the matches, the results, and so on. So that was one way, other than radio, of course, to get the news of results for the teams.
You get the scores for Serie B. It's like, I think they used to do something in England where they would just like read the scores from all the Football League matches. And that was all you got, just the score.
Yeah, that's it. And it would refresh the pages if it had multiple pages by itself, and you had to go to a specific page to change the news and so on.
Yeah. And they had all the matches of Serie B because all the matches were at the same time. And now you play during whole of the weekend because of the TV, but then all the matches were at the same time. Yeah. And it was one line was green, and then also the score was in green, and the other was in white, and then another green and white, so you could easily see.
Exactly. So the green was the one that got updated, exactly, and the white one was the normal.
And it gave a plus when a team scored. There was a plus, and at the end, when the match was over, the result was blue. Then you knew the match was over. So I was following like a completely crazy person. I just saw the lines and watching where's the plus and hoping to get it blue, so it was the final score, or hoping that it would take another minute so we could score a draw or anything. But it was a very strange way of following the matches.
Yeah, these were the inventive ways before internet came along.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I think when the passion for football becomes more if it's for me, it was like a dream world what happened in Marassi at that time. Well, maybe it was a very bad match with nothing happened, but for me, with only watching the television, it was a spectacle, like it was the final of European Cup or something. Well, it was maybe very terrible, but yeah, it was a very, very nice way. And I also had the heroes. I don't know if you remember the name Cosimo Francioso.
Of course.
He was a hero for me, scoring 24 goals for Genoa, but still no promotion to Serie A, but he did very good. So, well, I have a Dutch way of humor. So I went to the shop and bought an Italian national shirt and put on the backside the name Francioso. So everybody asking to me, who's Francioso?
Of course.
We know Paolo Rossi, we know all the Italian stars, but nobody ever heard of Francioso. And then I walked through Genova with that shirt, and everybody was thinking, well, that guy's crazy. Francioso never played with the Italian team. They didn't see the humor of it. They only were very thinking, this guy is not normal. Francioso doesn't play in the national team. Yeah, we have some Genoa players. Iranio played in the national team, and some other players, but not Francioso. Of course, I knew, but that was just the joke for me, that I made Genoa a big team, like my home team, which it wasn't, of course. Well,
Francioso was like a Massimo Coda of today.
Let's hope for Koba, for us and yes. For Koda. Yes, let's hope. Yeah. But he was also coming from the south, from a little club, and surprising everybody by scoring many goals. He did very well, together with Marco Carparelli.
That's right.
And Carparelli really became a friend of mine because I told you about the friendship with Dino Storace. So every time I'm in Genova, I go to Signorini, to Pelli, to the training ground.
Right.
And he takes care and opens the gate for me, so I can always go in there and meet the players. And well, that's very, very special.
Oh, you're very more brave than I am, because the few times I went as a guest of Dino, great guy. I will never stop talking good about him. And the same thing he did to me too. And I was just like, they're scared. And I'm like starstruck because I see all these players and I'm like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Just like, So kudos to you, Hans, for being able to go up to the players and speak to them. Like for me, I remember when I saw Perin, I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you," or things like that.
For a second, Hans, I have to say, like, your story is obviously it's remarkable, and the way you've been able to be connected to the club is amazing. But I think one of the coolest things is it feels familiar too. I mean, I only just went to my first match this past season.
I was going to say that, yeah.
I was at the last match, also in a similar way, coming across from New York to watch Genoa basically after they were already relegated against Bologna. And it was the same type of thing, though. Like I wasn't sure what to expect. Through Fabry, actually, I met another Genoa fan who's kind of my guide through everything. We went and saw the match together.
Enrico.
We saw Enrico. Shout out to Enrico. We're going to try to have him too one of these days.
For sure.
And it was also like a family environment. There were family there. We saw a lot of young boys and girls, actually a lot of young girls at the match, even in the Gradinata, which was pretty cool. And it was even before going there and watching games in New York, there was just this familial nature of the club. Like even with like the New York club, like watching, even if it was just like 8 of us or something huddling around a TV at some bar in New York somewhere, just was a different sort of connection to the club than my first club that I supported is Arsenal in a similar way, you know.
Okay.
So near a bar in New York was how I got connected to them. But the fan connection to Genoa, I think, is really something special, and it's pretty cool that it feels like that tradition hasn't really stopped.
That's nice because for me it was in 1998. You were in 2022, but it's still the same, and that's the good thing of Genoa, the fact that Dino still works there and who really is a Genoa fan.
He is.
With Ajax is a fantastic club, but it's all professional. Everything is professional,
right?
And you never come close to the players. All the trainings are behind closed doors, so you don't see. Well, only if the schools have holiday, then some days you can watch, because then the children can come.
Can go,
but it's maybe 10 days in a year or something. So hardly never it's possible. And of course, I know not everybody have the same privileges as I had, because I know Dino very good. But I think for every fan, Genoa is more open than the big clubs are for the fans.
Yeah.
and
That's true.
That's the good thing of Genoa, and that has to stay always. And I hope 7-7 partners will do the same. But the start for me is very good because every time when I was at Pelly training ground and Preziosi was also there, when Preziosi was inside, Dino and I were outside. If Preziosi was outside, I was inside. I never spoke to Preziosi because Dino knew that I would say something to him or ask something to him. not in an aggressive way, but sometimes a question is enough.
Yeah,
right. That's true.
Yeah, the question, you promised us not to sell Piontek, but why did you do it in January? Sometimes a question, even if you ask it nice, says enough.
Yeah.
And Dino knows that, of course. Yeah, of course. Sometimes I had Dino on the telephone during an away match of Genoa, and then he was talking to me, but he didn't say not so much. And then I watched on TV, and then I saw a spot from the tribuna, and I saw Preziosi was on the screen, but next to him there was Dino, and then I understand why he didn't say so much to me, because he was sitting next to Preziosi.
Next to him, exactly.
So he could not say that much, of course.
No, going back to what you were saying before, Hans, is me being a Genoano from Genova, obviously I understand the ups and downs of Serie B, Serie C, and so on. And I'm not saying that Matt does not understand that, but similarly to you, he could have picked a major team because him being American and he would have all Serie A to choose from. And he when he decided to like, because he was playing soccer with his friends and so on, he was telling us, at the first episode of our podcast, and he said, all my friends were having Juventus, Inter, Jersey, and so on, and he decided to pick Genoa. So that started as a fluke, right?
Yeah.
But then from there, that's when he started to understand what is Genoa all about.
Right.
The friendship that you said, the passion that it is, no matter what happens, and that we've shown that to the world, or at least to Serie A anyways, that even though we knew we were relegated or the odds were very against us, it didn't matter. We were losing, and we would still chant and be happy and clap, as you said, also to the other team and so on.
Yeah.
Because that's being sportsmanship. That's obviously against Sampdoria there will never be full sportsmanship, but we are also known as a city, except maybe very few, like you can count it on one hand, of some bad instances in the derby, but it's known to be the safest derby in Italy too.
Yeah.
Because of the I don't know, it's just like the citizens of Genova just understand that sports and sports. And another thing to what you said too is never ever ever bring politics to the stadium. To when it's culture, it's culture.
Yeah.
When it's politics, it's a different thing.
Different.
And don't mix the two things.
Yeah.
It's very important. And so I can see both of you it's for me, from a Genovese, seeing both of you from two different nations and being fans and supporters so strongly and so passionate for these beautiful colors. It's just like heartbreaking because it's just beautiful.
I think Hans said it perfectly with this is what football is all about. Like we sometimes, our small group here in New York, when we go to bars, we'll have Bayern fans or other big club fans turn their heads around because we're all kind of making noise, and usually we just
who is that? What is that all?
And
about?
it's like we just tied the match or something. It's not even winning the game, or maybe we're down a goal still. So it's really special, I think.
No, Hans said that right. Like the fact of having lost and that passion that comes from not always winning, maybe makes it stronger, maybe makes it more, I don't know, more in depth, right?
Yeah. Did you see on Netflix Sunderland Till I Die?
I love that. That was a great special.
It has a lot in common with Genoa.
Yeah.
The fans of Sunderland. They are also Gente di Mare from Sunderland.
Yeah.
And also, well, they are now in Serie C, if you would compare it to Italy. And they are still a big club with many fans. Well, Genoa we already have 11,000 season tickets now.
Which is amazing for Serie B.
Incredible.
I think this year we have more than Sampdoria and Serie A.
Which is already fantastic again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know
I
if
see a
you,
lot of in common with Sunderland, and everybody who don't understand Matt or me will watch Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix, and then
you understand.
then you have, I think you can understand the feeling and the passion, and maybe if it's far away it's even more because you romanticize a lot.
That's absolutely true, and that's what happens about the city too. So not only about the passion for Genoa, but obviously about the city. So I also wanted to remind you. I don't know if you remember, Hans, because this was like so many years ago now. But I remember, and I was mentioning this to Matt, and when the internet first started, as you had your experience and your story about creating the Genoa Club Amsterdam, I had my story creating the Genoa Club Toronto. And one of the first social medias that were out there was MySpace. And that's where I remember meeting Hans through MySpace, which was like one of the first major social media and so on. It's like, oh my God, another Genoa fan from abroad. And he was speaking English. And so we were both conversating a few times, not too much, but back and then there wasn't like too many chats and so on. But I remember that must have been what, mid 2000s, 2005, 2004, something like that.
Yeah, still in Serie B, I think.
Yes. So that was just amazing. And so now
so cool.
Seeing it full close, like this is what, almost 20 years later, I'm finally meeting him in person and we're in chats together. It's just amazing. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. Now we have to go to a match together.
Absolutely. I'm all for that.
The circle is around.
Absolutely. I am all for that.
you two coming, the two of you coming from United States to Italy,
Canada, over to Italy, and you coming from Holland. Exactly. That would be beautiful.
Meeting up would be awesome.
And I'll go out for a nice aperitivo with Dino.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, it's a limoncello. I'm not a typical Dutch because all Dutch like coffee and beer, but I don't like coffee and I don't like beer.
That's okay.
I like limoncello. Well, okay.
Still yellow it is, right?
I like your style.
yes. No, but it's great, and I'm so happy that for many reasons, of course, but also because of the football, that the COVID seems over, or hardly over.
Keep fingers crossed.
Yes. That's why I say seems. but I can go to the stadium because the last match of me was in October 2019. So I haven't been to a match of Genoa in 3 years now. So I have to be there before October 2019, before it's really 3 years, because that period I never had in my life not being to a match of Genoa. It's very strange. I really miss the stadium. I miss the people. I miss everybody. And I went there on summer holiday last year, which was great. So I could meet all the people. So I saw them. And well, my youngest daughter has a boyfriend. Is a young guy, but completely passionate for football. And now he's completely passionate for Genoa. He had to, because if he's here in my house and Genoa plays, he has to watch.
He has to sit down and watch.
and these guys all play FIFA. On the computer. So since that time, he plays with Genoa.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And he says to me, "Well, Pandev is great, but he's very slow."
Yes.
And he knows that all because of FIFA. For me, it's a completely new world. And he was with our family on holiday, and I promised him if we are in Genova, because we were on holiday in Toscana, but one day we went to Genova to meet all the friends, and we said we go to Morazzi and we will enter. And of course we succeeded, but there's always one gate which is not perfectly closed of the stadium. Which is perfect, because here in Amsterdam, Johan Cruyff Arena, everything is closed.
There's no way you're getting in there.
Everywhere are cameras and you can't enter. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And I said to him, we go in, no matter what happens, if we have to walk all around the stadium, but we go in. Well, and already the fourth or the fifth gate in Gradinata North, we could enter. And I said, come on, we walk on the field. And so he thought, well, this is fantastic. This is the first time I'm here and I'm already standing on the field.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, and that's the nice thing of Genoa. Times go by, but well, the Genoa doesn't change. And that's why we have to keep that way. And so I was very happy when I saw the new logo of 77 Partners, which is maybe more traditional than the one we had.
Probably you're right. Because if you look at the old Griff and the Grifone from the old logos, it's a lot more probably similar to what we have today than what was just up until not too long ago. You're right.
Yeah, for me, it's a combination of the first and the third logo we had in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's fantastic. If you see Juventus with the new logo, if you see Fiorentina, Venezia last week had a new logo. It's all very modern, and the marketing people think it's great, I'm sure. Well, also my home team Ajax has a new logo. Well, nobody likes it.
Yeah.
No.
But it's only for merchandise.
Yeah.
Because the new logo, you can claim all the merchandise then.
Right. Yeah.
The next is to forbid people to make shirts with the logo, to make scarves with the logo. That's the next step. First, make a new logo. You have all the rights to that, and then forbid all the other things. That's what happens here in Holland with Ajax.
Big thing. Actually, it happened to Arsenal too. They had this older Victorian crest, and they had to copyright a new one because they couldn't copyright the old one because it was more of a traditional thing. And you're right. I mean, I think there's a reason to be optimistic too. I mean, even with the tickets being lowered during the season so more fans can go to the Gradinata, the fact that, I mean, they've raised them a little bit this year, but it's still pretty affordable, and you're seeing already the sales happen. And then, the redesign inconsistent with the history, hopefully they keep that way about the club, and they don't try to modernize it so much that it pushes fans away.
Yeah, I think so far they are doing good because they professionalize the organization.
Yes.
Of course, it's fantastic the things I do with Dino. It's really fantastic. But all the people there were like that. It was more like a friendly neighborhood club than a professional Serie A club.
Yeah.
One hand, it's fantastic, it's great, but there also must be things professional. I don't know if you remember, but in the past, Genoa had 3 points down because Roderick Boisver played with Genoa while he was qualified. Well, these things could happen with Genoa. Almost every year, Genoa bought new players, but they were not already official Genoas because it was not giving through the Lega Calcio. They didn't know, so the player couldn't play because the paperwork was not good.
Yeah,
it was not complete yet.
We all remember the year we reached Coppa UEFA, but Genoa didn't pay the debts, so Sampdoria could play in our place. Well, these kind of things, that really must be over. And I think with 77 Partners, it's more professional, and we don't have to deal with that kind of stupid things. Yeah. Which is very
and not worry anymore. Yeah, absolutely, you're right. It's something that it was embarrassing and absolutely something that we don't want to see anymore. We want this team to go at a different level. Hopefully one day maybe at the Ajax level. I'm just hoping as a Genoa fan, but at the same time improve from where we were, and that's the first start. Yeah. So actually, that opens a question to mind where. From Ajax, from Amsterdam, from Northern Europe, how do you view, or what are the comments of the new ownership, but especially about Blessing?
Between the members of my fan club, it's very positive. It's very positive.
Okay.
So generally in Holland, it's not so positive. Why? Because Blessing is from the Salzburg-Leipzig family.
Yep.
And in Holland, they are called laptop trainers.
Oh.
Because the statistics, the things you put in the laptop, are leading, and not the feeling and your eyes are leading. And in Holland, we don't like that.
But especially the Amsterdam, the Cruyff type of way, I feel like that's very different than that.
Yeah, it's completely different. PSV Eindhoven, the second team here in Holland, had a laptop trainer last 2 years. And the media, nobody liked him. And they had a lot of critics because he went too much in his laptop. He was only looking at the physical conditions of the players. And sometimes a player played very good, but then they saw that from the statistics that he would be tired after 17 minutes, and then he was substituted after 70 minutes. Well, he played a great game. And all these things happened. And in Holland, you're a good trainer or you're a laptop trainer. And Blessing is a laptop trainer for here. Because they also say it's more tactical and it's more physical, the way of playing, than it's techniques and thinking. Well, Johan Cruyff, which is my god, my hero, of course. He's from Amsterdam, and he was a really, really great footballer, one of the best in the world. He says, football, you don't play with your legs. Football, you play with your head. And if you think just a part of a second quicker than the other, then you will win. And so, of course, you have to be physically okay, but other things are more important than that. You must have a basis which is good, and then it's your techniques and it's your mind that makes the difference, and not the statistics or the athlete in you.
So why does the members from your club actually think that it's a good thing with Blessing?
Yes, because the members of my club, most of them are Italian or have Italian roots or nothing, and they follow Genoa. Well, the Dutch who say it because Blessing is coming from Red Bull, Salzburg, Leipzig. And so they only say it because he's one of that family, and not because they know Blessing, because Blessing is not known in Holland.
Of course not.
He trained a small team in Belgium, but I don't know the trainers of the small teams in Belgium. No, nobody knows.
Of course not. Of course not.
But the Genoa fans in my fan club, of course, know Blessing, and they like him. Why? Well, because I think he's a kind of Jurgen Klopp of Liverpool.
Yep.
He is very committed, which for us Genoani is important. He's
Absolutely.
very committed. Dino told me after one day, because I telephoned him after the first day of work of Blessing with Genoa, and Dino said to me, he is one of us.
Yes.
He really is one of us.
I was just about to say, even in a lot of the fan posts, you see Blessing Somonoi, like a lot of fans really see him as part of, he is ingrained in Genoa, which is a huge, huge thing.
And Dino said it after one day. He said,
That's
he's
amazing.
one of us. And I had the same conversation with him after Shevchenko, because the introduction of Shevchenko was very good organized. And Dino did organize it, and I knew he was very nervous because it was the first big meeting of 7-7 partners with a new coach, with a lot of press, more press than ever was
true
with Genoa. For him, it was a very nervous day.
It was huge.
And he did it very good, because he also translated everything in Italian and translated in English.
Back in English.
There were also international press. So he did a very good job. So I called him at night to compliment him for the way he did, which he liked very much, because I also say it when it's not good. Then I also give my opinion. So he was very surprised, and I said, "Well, and what do you think of Shevchenko?" He said, "Well, he's a big name, and all the things we all can imagine," but he didn't say he's one of us.
Of course not.
And Shevchenko is the name, and everybody hopes a lot, but Blessing really is one of us. Well, that's cool. One thing. The other thing is, I think he can really motivate players. He can really motivate. On the other hand, there are also players who have troubles with him.
Yeah.
You love him or you hate him. I don't think there's a lot of in between.
Yeah.
But most players love him, and I think they do extra only for him, which is important for a coach. If your players like you and do things extra for
reminds me a little bit of Gasperini too. In a different way.
In a different way. Well, Gasperini also was a kind of a father for some young players, while Blessing, I don't think, is a father. He more is an older brother.
Yeah.
Or an older friend. So it's in a different way, but it has things in common. yeah, I hope that he let Genoa play the way which is the best for the players. Sometimes that's a thing with young new trainers.
Mm-hmm.
They have an opinion in their mind and they want to play that way, but it's the team that makes the way you play, and not the system you have in your head, not your. For me, as an Ajax born footballer and football fan, the 4-3-3 is the best system.
I love it.
Ajax and Holland plays that since the 70s, and every success was coming from that. And the special thing is you have 4 defenders, but if you have the ball, if you attack, one of the defenders goes in midfield, and then you have 4 on midfield and only 3 defenders.
Yeah.
But when the opponent has the ball, then immediately he has to go back, and you have 4 defenders again. It's a fantastic system, but if only one player fails to do his job,
the whole system fails.
You lose every match.
That's right. Similar in a different way with Gasperini. He was doing the 3-4-3, was a little bit different, but not too different. That if you had the right players and they were doing the right job, the system was fantastic. And you see it also with Atalanta. Yeah. But the time when one player fails, then that's when you see the spanking happening, right?
So I think in Serie B, when not all players are of a Champions League level, you don't have to play that system, because it's very hard for all the players to understand it 90 minutes long every match, what to do. So Blessing has to do something else. So I don't think he's an Ajax trainer, and he doesn't have to be, but he must look good what we need. What I saw last year was he mainly played only with one striker.
Yeah.
That's the only downside I had, but also maybe because of the roster, who knows what was happening too, right?
Yeah. I know we're both hopeful that he's going to turn into that 4-3-3 that we started seeing just a tiny bit at the end of the season, but he had that same formation for much of the season.
Yeah. We only had Matteo Destro as a forward, who is very slow.
Yeah.
So you only have one striker who is slow. Then you never score.
Right. That's right. And that's what happened.
So I love the way he reacts. He's one of us. Fantastic. Couldn't be better.
Right.
He is very passionate. He is very friendly to everybody.
Yep.
So he has a lot of good things. Now he must play the way which is the best for the team.
Yep.
And last year he didn't do that every match, in my opinion.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Only at the end.
Yeah.
If you only have Matteo Destro, he needs a lot of people around him to make something. It's the same with Goran Pandev. Pandev scores if there's a lot of other players in his neighborhood and he gets the ball and then he scores. But if Pandev is your only striker, it's like you play without strikers.
Right.
That's right.
So that's what I hope. So I'm very happy with Coda, of course.
Yep.
But we also need a second or a third striker. So Coda is perfect, but we need another one. If I see now what happens, then then we are the laptop club. Why we take Payak or Payac, I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't either.
Yeah, we were just struggling with that earlier.
So I don't know how to say it. I saw him play. We all saw him play a few years ago. He was very horrible. He was really horrible. He only could run. So his statistics are very good. But how is he as a player?
Yeah.
I prefer Mimo Criscito. I prefer Cambiaso. Why? Because they are Genoani. They know how we play. They know Genoa. They know. I hope I'm wrong, of course, because Genoa must win every match. So,
yeah, of course. But I mean, let's hope that if Payax is still true, because nothing is official yet. But he was the top assist man of last year's Serie B. So hopefully that means that he has changed. Again, that also statistics. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. And it all depends also on the coach that you have. So you could be great with one coach, but awful with another coach.
Yeah. If I see the players, of course, it's in the newspaper, so we don't know which is true, which is not true. The Dutch players Genoa followed. One of them was Thijs Dallinga. He played in Serie B of Holland and he scored 32 goals. But everybody in Holland thinks he's a one-day fly.
Right.
Because every ball he touched was in the net.
Right.
It was not normal. He was like Messi. But he said to himself, well, this year I'm so lucky, I'm so good. And then Genoa was interested in him but nobody knows him. Nobody knew him in Holland, nowhere. And that's because of his statistics in the laptop.
Right.
You say immediately Payas was the assist man of Serie B. Yeah, that's statistics. That's in the laptop. I can see that you look on that way to a player, but it's not. It mustn't.
It's not only that.
It's not the only way.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And if we now see there's a new player, we always read the statistics. Genoa says in the media the statistics of the player. Koda scored that many times. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, we like. And if you score, you can score anyway. But giving assists is also depends on the system you play.
That's right. So let's hope that Blessing
I
is
think
more...
if you play very, very offensive, then Hefty can also have 8 assists at the end of the season.
That's true. I mean, he has the quality.
Yeah.
But if we play like last year, Hefty would never have eight assists at the end of the season. And that's
let's hope that the game... No, you're right, Hans. Let's hope that the coach styles the team around the players, because that's very important too, as well as have a mixture of laptop style and also feeling the players and looking at the style itself. So we can only hope, right? Because we don't really know much of Blessing either, because we only seen him since whenever the change was in February and so on. So it's difficult too, January, February.
Especially with the circumstances of the squad at that time.
Almost mutiny and whatnot, exactly.
Of course, and the problem for him was he had to be there, and the players were already there, so he had to do it with that players. And now he can build his own team, and I think he really is a team with Spors and the other people inside the society. It's not as in the past with Preziosi. When Preziosi bought a player, and Gasperini had to work with it.
Exactly. It was not like in sync with Gasperini. Gasperini had to take him and say, okay, where am I going to fit him? It's so true.
As I told you, I went many times to the training field, and I also followed many press conferences the day before the match, press conference of Gasperini. And Gasperini, well, he's a friendly man, but not a very warm man. Till one time, at the end of the press conference, they said to the people, is there someone with a question? And after many years, I raised my hand because my Italian is not perfect, and who am I? I'm just a supporter from Holland. I'm not a journalist, which is my work to follow Genoa and know everything about Italian football. I'm just a fan. But at one day, I raised my hand and I asked, well, Mr. Gasperini, how is it for you that every half a year you have to start with a new team because the best players are already gone?
It's true.
And he had to smile, and all the journalists looked at me and thinking, well, why didn't I had that question? But they are afraid to do that kind of questions with Preziosi.
Journalists are afraid.
And that was also the reason when Preziosi was in Sede, then I was outside, and when Preziosi was outside, I was inside. You knew exactly that my question could be very dramatic, maybe.
Exactly.
And then Gasperini answered like he always answered. So he said, well, yeah, you have to see it. Well, and he didn't really say to me, Hans, you're right. Of course, he couldn't do that. Right. Then after the press conference, he said to one of the journalists, do you want to take a picture of Hans with me? So I didn't ask Gasperini to go on a photo with him. No, he asked me to be on the photo.
That's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
And that for me was the signal that he understood very good my question.
Yes.
Yeah.
He knew you were in sync with him on that one for sure.
Yes. And I knew that what was his real answer. Well, he never gave it, but I know from that moment I knew enough about Gasperini's way of thinking, about Preziosi, about the club, and also about me. And from that day, he always was very friendly to me and very warm, but only after that question.
That's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
And I think Blessing will be friendly from the beginning. So that's the difference between these two, I think.
Yeah.
If Blessing hears I'm from Holland, he says, "Wow, I worked in Belgium, and well, maybe he speaks some words of Dutch because he worked in Belgium, and then he will be friendly immediately." So I think that's a difference. But yeah, I repeat, I hope he play the system which is the best for the team and not the system which is in his laptop.
Of course.
That's what I hope.
Well, Hans, this was amazing. It's tremendous to have you with us. We're basically at the end of our podcast, but we're going to have you like several times because of all the amazing stories and knowledge that you bring, which is unbelievable. So how can our listeners follow you or reach out to you if they wanted to?
Well, there are a lot of people in the two WhatsApp groups we have. Grifoni around the world is one, and the other one is simply called Genoa, which are a lot of fans. We had a website, genoaclubamsterdam.com, but it was hacked by people from Romania who hacked it and asked a lot of money to us if we wanted it. Well, now everything is off. All the shit they put on the website is gone. But as soon as we put something in, then we have a problem. So we have to see how we can fix it.
Yeah.
Because in the past, every week I wrote an article on the website about the match, but now not anymore. Well, with the Dutch members, of course, we have our own WhatsApp groups, and sometimes we watch matches together, which is not easy in Holland. Because on TV are only the match against Juventus, against Milan, against Inter, which we lose 9 of the 10 times.
Yeah.
So people from Holland following Genoa only on TV only see them lose a lot of times, except last time against Juve with Criscito in the last minute, which was fantastic, of course.
Yes.
But for the rest, we have to do it illegal. I don't know if you know the site Hesco.com. Well,
no.
It's an illegal way of watching football without paying.
Okay.
But the commentator sometimes comes from Argentina, and sometimes he comes from China, and then he comes from Greece, and well, they pick everything from the air. Yeah. But that was in Serie A. So in Serie B, it will be difficult. But here in Amsterdam now is a new guy. He's coming from Genova, and he's doing a startup as a business. And he has DAZN, so I hope I can watch together with him on his account, because DAZN also has Serie B.
There you go. Well,
that's awesome.
That's why I hope. Well, and maybe I can return one time in your podcast after I've been finally after 3 years back in Marassi.
Yes,
which would be great.
We have to have you back after you've been there.
Absolutely.
And then I will tell all my adventures and everything about the club. And if Mr. Blessing is a good coach who thinks about the team, or he is too much on his laptop, and then I will warn him on a friendly way.
we know we'll get the straight answer from you, Hans. So
yes,
that's amazing. Thank you, Hans. Matt, did you want any last comments?
No, I'm just grateful to meet you, Hans. I think this is an awesome conversation, and hopefully, fingers and toes crossed for our Grifoni this season. I think we must make it back up, but I feel pretty confident. So.
Yeah, let's hope. And well, for me, it's very great to know that someone in New York has the same strange way of passion and the same start with Genoa. It's fantastic that after all these years it repeats on the other side of the world, but it's the same. So
pretty cool.
Genoa is one family, and we're part of it, and we're damn proud of it.
Very proud of it.
Damn proud of it. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you once again, Hans. This was amazing, tremendous. We'll definitely have you more than once, and you're more than welcome to reach out anytime. And thank you again for everything. We'll talk soon. We'll meet again next week in our new episode next week, and probably bring more conversations about the new calendar, which is coming out in a few days, and so on. So again, Forza Genoa. Talk soon. Talk to you later. Ciao.
Forza Genoa. Ciao.
You've listened to La Lanterna, a spotlight on Italian football, a podcast powered by Genoani Si Resta. Thank you for listening and see you next week.